Okay, something really big is happening in the world of web development. I mean, a fundamental shift. What used to be a pretty unified community, building on the same basic ideas, is now splitting apart. We're talking about two totally incompatible visions for the future. And it means a choice has to be made, a choice that's about a lot more than just code.
Just think about that for a minute. We always talk about frameworks and tools based on their features, their performance, right? But what if the real difference isn't what they can do, but what they believe in? The tools you end up choosing, they don't just shape how you build something. They're a reflection of what you think the right way to build is.
So yeah, today we're diving into this growing divide between React and Remix. And this is not just some technical squabble. No, this is a story about two clashing philosophies, two sets of core values that just can't exist in the same space anymore. It's leading to what you can only really call a great uncoupling.
Let's kick things off with the reigning champ in this ecosystem, React. To really get what's happening, you have to understand its core belief system. For the React team, the absolute #1 goal is to give the user the best experience possible, even if that means they have to wrestle with an insane amount of complexity behind the scenes.
React's whole philosophy really rests on three main pillars. First up, you've got stability. I mean, with millions of developers using it, they have to make sure new stuff doesn't just break everything that's already been built. Then there's composability, this idea that powerful features can all click together and build on each other, almost like Legos. And finally, capability, always pushing the limits of what's possible to give developers performance they could never, ever get on their own.
And the perfect showcase of this whole philosophy is one of their biggest gambles, the React compiler. This thing is an incredibly sophisticated tool that just scans your code and optimizes it automatically. And just to give you an idea of its power, when Meta pointed it at their Quest Store app, which was already hand-optimized by their best engineers, interactions became twice as fast. That's the whole point. They handle the crazy complexity so you don't have to.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures their side of the bargain. The React team is totally willing to build and maintain this unbelievably complicated machine, and in return, all they ask from developers is one thing: trust. Trust the magic. Trust the invisible engine that's working like crazy to make your app better.
Now, let's flip the coin. Over on the other side of this canyon, you've got Remix, and they are making a completely different bet. They're pitching a future that's built not on hiding complexity, but on radical simplicity and putting the developer back in the driver's seat.
Remix's values are just a total contrast. First, simplicity. Every single action is explicit and you can trace it. There's no hidden magic. Second, web platform alignment. So instead of inventing a bunch of new stuff, they build right on top of the web standards that already exist, like native events and fetch APIs. And third, debuggability. The promise that when something happens, you can always figure out exactly why without having to peel back a million layers of abstraction.
The clearest possible example of this entire philosophy comes down to a single command: this.update. See, in the new Remix, that automatic reactivity graph, that complex system that's always trying to guess when to update your screen, it's gone. Instead, nothing changes unless you explicitly tell it to. This just wipes out an entire class of bugs where you're just staring at your screen thinking, why on earth did that component just re-render?
This quote from a live demo is basically the entire Remix manifesto in one sentence. It's a complete return to first principles. It's a declaration that the developer, not the framework, should be in total control of what's happening in the app.
So here it is, laid out side by side. You've got React offering automatic magic. It shoulders the burden of complexity to give you these incredible results. And then you've got Remix offering explicit control, giving you code that's predictable and easy to debug, but yeah, it's going to be a bit more manual. Both are totally valid paths, just driven by completely opposite philosophies.
And at the end of the day, these two ways of thinking just couldn't be squared. They couldn't coexist. If forced a decision, a really dramatic split that is going to completely reshape this whole ecosystem. Remix is officially breaking away from React. To make this happen, Remix is introducing what we call a breaking change. And let's be super clear about what this means. This is not your normal update. It's a complete, from-the-ground-up rewrite. There's not going to be a direct upgrade path from the Remix you use today to the Remix of tomorrow. So, what does this mean for the thousands of developers and huge companies like Shopify that have built their businesses on Remix?
Well, their work is not being thrown away. The stable, React-based version of Remix is going to live on. It'll just be maintained as a separate project called React Router v7.
Now, for anyone who's intrigued by this new vision, you're going to need to be patient. The very first alpha of Remix 3 is maybe, hopefully, coming at the end of 2025, with a more complete release sometime in 2026. The message from the team is loud and clear. This is a brand new start, and it is nowhere near ready for production yet.
All right, so this split, it creates a whole new landscape. For the first time, really, developers in this space have to make a very conscious choice. And it's not based on which framework is faster, but on which set of values resonates with them the most.
This table pretty much breaks down that choice. If what you really value is stability, and you want the absolute peak performance you can get, and you're cool with trusting a complex kind of magic system to deliver that, then the React path is definitely your path. But if you value simplicity and direct control more than anything else, then the new Remix is where you're headed. You just have to know that it means you'll be writing more explicit code and taking on the risks of being an early adopter.
At the end of the day, this isn't about which framework is going to win. It's about which philosophy clicks with you. The tools we use have a huge effect on how we think, how we solve problems. So the real question isn't just about what tool you should pick for your next project. It's bigger than that. It's about what kind of work you want to do and what kind of developer you want to be.